Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am fucking tired as shit, but it is GZTV. We are back with another episode review, and we are here to talk about It. Welcome to Derry. We have the 4th episode, which just came out last night. The time I'm recording this, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this out tonight. We will see what happens, but I went into this episode hoping Pennywise would finally show up in full, because at this point, we're almost halfway into the season, and the teasing is getting really aggravating. And I understand it's like a prequel. It's supposed to show like the origin story of Derry and all of this stuff, but come on. It definitely gets to a point. The show is supposed to build the mythology slowly because they want 3 full seasons, but right now it's coming off like a weird creative choice that really doesn't fit the franchise. Again, it strives off of Pennywise. Without Pennywise, there's no It. So why the hell are we wasting so much time and just teasing him on the screen? That said, episode 3 raised my expectations for sure. I thought this was going to be an absolute banger. I don't think we necessarily got that. Obviously, episode 3, you guys can watch my review, but it was easily the strongest so far. So I thought maybe, just maybe, episode 4 would keep that momentum going, and you can kind of tell that it probably doesn't, but I'm going to tell you why here in a second. So getting into the premise, episode 4 focuses mainly on a few things. I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm not going to like read off a website like what the fucking premise is, but the kids finally show their photos of the ghost. They finally get their evidence. They do this wet bath, like weird ritual at the school, and nothing shows up. And of course it's like that plot convenience, that plot inconvenience of, haha, you kids are fucking crazy. There's nothing on these pictures. Oh, is that bird shit on the tombstone? Like all this weird stuff. Again, plot inconvenient, but whatever. It pushes them towards the idea of taking Lily's mom's pills to overcome fear and to try to capture this phenomenon again, which is kind of cute in like a kid logic kind of way. And then the Hanlon mother getting deeper into the investigation. Charlotte Hanlon now is kind of like a piece of the investigation, and I'm not sure like if she's going to become a huge part. I really hope they don't take that weird political route of like racism, which it feels like they're kind of going to. That's weird. I don't think this franchise should be turned into that, but whatever. Obviously, like the movie theater guy still being blamed for the murder. She kind of contacted him, did all that crazy shit. She's an activist. She used to do like these freedom marches down south, is what they're saying. All this stuff. The military Native American plot kicks into another gear, I think, when Halloran interrogates Taniel. This leads to a massive lore drop. There's some crazy stuff. There's some decent reveals in this episode. Taniel basically mentally transports Halloran into a dream space version of Derry's past. I don't know who did what actually. That was kind of a confusing sequence when they were like sitting in the interrogation room and all of a sudden Halloran's like in a fucking different area. There's a reveal that the town's weird energy is pretty much directly tied to Native American history, spiritual pillars, and a buried darkness under the land, which I think is a fucking fantastic concept. We'll get into all that in a second though. Pennywise keeps peeking through little balloon moments, visions, hallucinations. Still not fully here, just kind of like the vibes that he's there, just his presence. And there's obviously a cliffhanger. Lily ends up standing over her friend's body with a bloody tool in her hand, framed to look like I don't know if her best friend died. I don't really know what happened. Everyone sees it. Everyone thinks she snapped. Definitely one of the better hooks going into episode 5 though, is it kind of looks like she is insane and she needs to go back to Juniper Hill for the fucking like 3rd time. So a bit repetitive, but it works. So getting into the good, there's a decent amount of good stuff here. The Native American lore reveal is great. Probably the best part of the episode. And at first I was kind of sus because it's like, well, why is there this random lore dump? Why is there this random flashback in the middle of the fucking episode with Taniel? The way young Taniel's story blended into Halloran's interrogation was a really cool idea, and not something I see a lot of TV shows do. And over here on the channel, we can definitely credit creativity. Something the show hasn't really done before, and again, something not a lot of shows do. Like getting in this guy's mind and playing like a psychological game to get him to spill the truth, spill the beans, tell him where the pillars are. That's great. It's got like a upside down Stranger Things vibe, but it also fits Derry perfectly. It also takes like this show as a concept and flips it on its head. Strong execution, strong atmosphere. That was a really fun one. Lily's storyline and cliffhanger is actually really good as well. As silly as the crazy pill setup is, her ending twist works. It adds drama, puts her character in a dangerous place, and like makes her look really fucking terrible, as she's been kind of battling these suspicions of like being mentally insane and going to Juniper Hill the whole show. And it finally gives the kid's storyline some real momentum. The kid ritual, almost ghost hunting scene, can be, yes, but it works because that's exactly what 1960s horror should feel like. It's goofy, nostalgic, and gives the group something fun to do even if the execution isn't flawless. Like, yeah, let's take my mother's pills. It helps her relieve stress. It should make us like fearless, right? It's not how that works, but it's funny in that way. The Halloran military sequence, I think the military sequence continues to do pretty good here. Chris Chalk has been great. He's been one of the better actors of the entire show, has that's one of the best performances in the entire show. His performance sells the paranoia, the confusion, the secrets. He just feels like a very out of whack, like very lost in the sauce individual that has a lot of things to hide, and it's starting to slowly come to light, like how he was able to get into Daniel's head. Shit's fucking crazy. It's not as strong as episode 3's reveal with him, but still solid and atmospheric, and we're continuing to see this looming thing in the background of him like being able to fucking basically read people's minds. It's crazy. The production design, the show continues to nail the 1960s aesthetic. I can't really complain about it there. Sets, costumes, the grain of the cinematography, all still on point, even if some effects look video game-ish, and the fucking CGI balloons is weird, but let's move on here. So getting into the bad, I do think them just Pennywise teasing again is really stupid. Like, Bill Skarsgård is one of the most infamous actors in Hollywood. He's right there, and the show refuses to just use him. It's getting old. It's getting fucking worn the fuck out. Put the guy on the goddamn screen, have him chasing people around. You have like a quick shot of him on the screen, then you have a balloon. We need something real. We need him to feel like an actual threat. He's very much just looming in the background, and I don't like that move out of this show at all, and I continue to show my disdain for it. I don't know what they're gonna do with the remaining 4 episodes of the show, but at some point, maybe they're saving it for the finale, but I think that would be really fucking stupid if I'm being honest with you. Chasing someone, stalking someone, anything, like just give us like a POV shot of him, give us like a actual shot of him on the screen. But right now it feels like they're intentionally holding the show's biggest asset hostage to kind of tease people into like coming back and watching every single week, and I think that's a really weird tactic that they're doing. The kid group chemistry, like just the chemistry of itself, kind of falls off in this episode. They don't fully click here. Some scenes feel awkward, flat, or forced, and not even close to the quality we got in episode 3. Michael and Ronnie's dynamic, how all of a sudden like they show some interest towards each other, and yeah, I complained about that as being kind of gross, having like child romance in your show. It's not like absolutely terrible here, but it's not compelling either. And again, ironically enough, like if Michael and Ronnie were continued to interact with each other, and I know like the whole connection with the grandmother and the mother and all that stuff, but if they would have shown something, that probably would have made it a little better for me. The scares, there's a lot of nonsense here. There's a lot of CGI just thrown on the screen that doesn't make sense. Why are balloons and CGI? You could literally take a balloon, an actual balloon, make it look fucking authentic, but instead we have these like either they're CGI or like insanely edited visual effect balloons. Look stupid. Hallucinations don't actually feel dangerous, and again, this is kind of my complaint with like psychological horror, is that it's not an actual threat. I mean, obviously it affected the friend of Lily's at the end, but it's not an actual threat. It doesn't feel like. There's just cuts here and there. It's like whatever. It's more camp than horror, and not always in a good way. So getting into the okay, there's a lot of stuff in the okay. I will say, like, the pacing, definitely not as strong as episode 3, but not slow either. There's not a whole lot of drop off from the show. I do think it continues from episode 3, especially like what it does good and then what it does bad. Some things fall into the bad and some things fall into the okay that were probably good before, as there were no bad things in my last review, but especially the pacing is just kind of there. It moves, but the peaks aren't as exciting. The writing, a mix of decent twists, cliche moments, and occasional cringe, competent but not remarkable. Again, a lot of aspects of this show can kind of just be thrown into the okay and just kind of be thrown in as acceptable, because this isn't really a show that's supposed to be taken serious through like award season and stuff like that. But there you go. The acting again is good enough. A lot of the stuff is just kind of serviceable, kind of there. No one blows you away. No one ruins the episode. I will say Taylor Page and Chris Chalk have kind of been, if there's like a gold star for the actress, gold star for the actor, I think those two are definitely taking the cake so far as some of the better performers, and two people that I'm not super familiar with their work, so it's nice to see an introduction there. They stand out. Obviously the kids are kids, like you don't expect them to win fucking Oscars and get nominated for Academy Awards unless you're like fucking Stranger Things and you're just amazing. You just hired the greatest child actors in the world, but they're there. The military subplot overall, like overarching, still interesting, but that is starting to plateau. I do think they need to pick up some steam for the next episode and introduce some crazy stuff. I don't even think it was really as involved as it should have. I think we got a lot of the school nonsense, a lot of the kids nonsense, and the military stuff. It's definitely stuff there. I guess they're like looking over this bunker or like investigating it, trying to like turn it into like a cool hangout. That might have some fun moments, but a lot of focus here. Not all of it feels essential. I don't really know what else to say that's gonna do it. So getting into the review, we'll do a tier list. I think it is kind of silly to do a tier list for these things, but it's fine. Episode 4 is definitely a step down from episode 3, which is unfortunate because I figured they would have took the positive momentum from episode 3 and how great that was and made episode 4 what it is. But it does keep the lore moving. moving and finally gives us some Pennywise presence, even if it's still frustratingly minimal. Like, it still somewhat feels like it. I know the Native American stuff is kind of weird and out of place at times, but it still feels like that show, so that's fine. The Native American storyline, it's good. Like, it's carrying the show right now. Obviously, it's like kind of ripping the identity of a killer clown, and like the whole fair stuff gets chucked out of the window, but it's definitely what's like getting me to watch it. The cliffhanger was probably one of the best parts of the episode as well. That does get me interested for episode 5, I will admit. Like, the fallout of what happens to Lily after people kind of find her red-handed even though she didn't do anything wrong. Crazy. We are 4 episodes in though, and it's starting to get concerning that this series is still struggling to justify why it exists, and that's mainly because of the absence of Pennywise. I'm gonna give this like a 7, a flat out 7 out of 10. I think it's fine. Solid lore, solid twist, but lacking in payoff and real scares. Again, lacking in Pennywise. Again, lacking in its identity as a series. This seems kind of like a one-off rather than a prequel, which is whatever. Episode 5 is supposed to come out like late this Sunday night, and it is Thanksgiving break, so I'm gonna probably go this weekend and stuff, get my dad kind of caught up with where we're at, and then we can watch the next few episodes. So that should be fun. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, go check out all the socials as always. I decided to wear these because they're kind of the fuckboy moment right now with the blue light glasses, but go check out the socials, do all that stuff. I'm trying, man. I'm very fucking tired. I don't know when these videos are coming out. We still have an NFL recap to get going with this week, so have a good day, guys.